Welcome back to another episode of Trash Talk. I'm John Bernard. This is Nick. We are the K-Roos Bros, giving you the fight news from around the world. We are back in Sydney, looking like we're going to UFC 320. But we've had a great run. We had a great card last card. I think last card was almost most hyped card of the year.
Besides the main event, which did get a lot of hate online for being quite boring. Khamzat dominated him. But it was a great card overall. 2 spinning back elbow finishes. And then they also had UFC Shanghai last week. Good to see Aljamain, Funkmaster, get a W.
Johnny Walker get an upset. So a lot has happened since. But let's get straight into it. Let's go into the hot take of this week. This week's UFC hot take. Chael Sonnen says Ilia versus Paddy would get more interest than Ilia and Islam.
Well, he said that the money fight is Ilia versus Paddy, not Ilia Islam. He said the gate for Ilia Paddy would sell so much more. And I understand Chael P's argument. I understand it because it is a very hyped fight. They've got a backstory. They've thrown hand sanitizer bottles at each other. They've had a war of words. But I disagree with him because Ilia versus Islam is the biggest fight since Khabib versus Conor.
Why I think it makes sense is because Paddy's got a very big fan base. Not that Islam doesn't have a fan base, but when you're talking English-speaking audience that you can go on a press tour around Europe, I think that's where Chael's looking at. He's saying what's going to make the most noise and bring in the most gate, the most pay-per-view numbers while they're on this ESPN deal. I think he's kind of right. I think a Paddy versus Ilia, imagine the trash talk. I think what he said is there's a reason why they brought him into the octagon and not Arman Sarukian and not anyone else. You could say it was a mistake, whatever, and Dana White didn't want to push it, but I think that's the direction that the UFC want to go. Whether it happens now or they give Ilia another fight in between, who knows? But I think that's the trajectory that UFC's on, and I think Chael's right.
Well, this is Chael's direct quote. Ilia versus Islam is not the massive fight that people are trying to make believe it is. Ilia versus Paddy does a bigger gate than Ilia Islam right now. Now, where I have to show advanced metrics to Chael Sonnen, if you look at every Instagram, Twitter, TikTok post that involves Ilia or Islam, especially talking about them fighting,
skyrockets.
It's doing 1 million plus views easily. Then if you go, I think I saw a stat from the last card. Khamzat Chimaev's card sold so well because he has 10 million followers on Instagram. Ilia and Islam both have 10 million followers on Instagram. They're 2 of the most followed fighters in the UFC.
That's not to say Paddy's not a very followed fighter as well. But
he's not on their level. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, he also did say that if it was Islam with a belt, it would make a lot of difference, and that fight would be the most intriguing fight in the UFC.
There's already a belt there. And look, and pound for pound, number 1 would be on the line with Ilia Islam. Paddy the Baddy, he's not even top 5 in his own division. So, pound for pound's going to be nowhere in the conversation.
It would be Paddy's first official test in a while. I know the Jared Gordon fight, whatever, that kind of fizzled him out a little bit, but he's back on track. He's just saying if Islam was to go and win the welterweight championship, and then you have a belt versus belt, Ilia to become almost the first 3-division champion, if that belt was even on the line, would be crazy.
And look, Paddy is very entertaining. Probably one of the most entertaining people in the UFC. When we put out videos about Paddy the Baddy, they do very well. He does very well on social.
He's funny. He's a funny guy. He's a quirky character. The people in the UK love him. They're all coming out when he's coming out. He fights 2 times a year. The people are longing to see him. So who knows what's going to be booked for the lightweight division.
But fans like myself, I get carried away with internet narratives. Similar to how Dricus du Plessis, I thought he was going to get it done strictly because the internet had told me so. If you look at social media right now, the videos they're making for Ilia versus Islam is that it's Khabib versus Conor 2.0. And the hype around that, just to even get a glimpse of what the biggest fight in UFC history was in Conor versus Khabib, that's what makes his fight so much bigger. And I think Chael P, he does get a lot of stuff wrong.
He does. He's saying Rajah Jackson isn't at fault. And he's also saying,
I don't know about that. But
he's saying he's put out some rumors and some things that he says have been locked in, like Tom Aspinall, John Jones was supposed to be in November. He's gotten it wrong a couple times.
So I feel like he does say stuff for inflammatory purposes.
But he is the OG. He is the original gangster, and we have to respect Chael
I do respect him. That's why I gave his argument a lot of thought and a lot of respect. But I think if you go on top 3 fights to make by interest, that's probably his number 2. So Islam Ilia is number 1. That's
and remember, everyone had the shits because Beneil robbed us of that when he beat.
No, he lost to JDM.
Sorry, when he lost to JDM. So
it is Beneil's fault.
Okay, let's move on. Conor McGregor is seen in Italy, living his best life. He's with his family in Italy. But Conor McGregor put out a video of him sparring young Italians in a gym. I don't know what was going on. It looks like he's making a comeback, but he was not taking it easy on these little Italians.
Conor McGregor was going prime Conor McGregor on these poor little Italians in some Italian gym. I know I can see him in Rome or in Italy going around touring all these churches. It's very nice to see.
He was just teeing off on these little guys in the gym. Now, I'm all for hard sparring, but at least it be
People on your level.
People on your level. He's just not taking it easy on these kids at all.
And look, for someone that wants to see McGregor back in the UFC, this is a positive sign.
Yeah, definitely.
I know he's fighting bums. I know he's not taking it easy on people that probably will never even know what the UFC is. But he did look good. I'm going to say he did look good.
He looked sharp.
He looked sharp. I know some people were saying he looked slow, but let's remember.
And that's great for the kid. Hey, I've done rounds with Conor McGregor. Even if I got belted, you know what I mean?
I'll do it.
I would 100% do it. But, I mean, he wasn't taking it easy whatsoever. Now, that's not to say that this is like, look who he's sparring with. He's priming for a comeback. But it's a step in the right direction. First you start with sparring kids, then maybe some teenagers and adults, and then you're going back to professionals. But, this is probably the most motion we've seen on a McGregor comeback.
Well, I feel like there was that thing that came out during Khamzat's fight week that Conor McGregor got cut from the UFC. There was the UFC roster.
Yeah,
he got
UFC roster
cut.
watch.
Dana White shut that down pretty quickly, but
Said bullshit. Called bullshit in a comment.
I was like, man, could he be fighting in another promotion? Bare Knuckles calling his name.
People are saying, maybe he failed the drug test.
Yeah, so it's good to see that all that is not happening and he actually is training for a comeback in the UFC because, hey, if you listen to Dana White talk about the White House card,
It's on.
He said multiple times, John Jones is not fighting on this card. I'm working on Conor McGregor.
Yeah. He gave John Jones a 1 in a billion chance to be on the White House card, but he says Conor really wants to be on the White House card. For some reason, this White House card is very motivating to people, probably because it's once in a lifetime, like the Sphere. But I don't know. It's encouraging to see Conor McGregor back. He's posting photos with his family. He says the best he's ever felt. He's on the right trajectory. We love to see it.
Look, this is very positive signs for the comeback. What's not positive, though, is the Mohawk. I feel like the Mohawk makes him look crazy, makes him look unhinged, and I just don't know if that's like.
I don't think he cares. Doesn't care anymore. It honestly suits him.
Especially like if you're running for president, I don't think a Mohawk president is really what people of Ireland are going to vote for.
Yeah, that's very true.
Maybe go for the clean.
But he's maybe trying to say, I'm like you. I'm like you, Mohawk. Well, I'm like you, just general Irishman. I'm the lay Irishman. You know what I mean?
But it's good to see Conor back and sparring. That's the positive we should take from it.
Dricus du Plessis has broken his silence since the loss to Khamzat Chimaev, basically putting out a statement. And I thought it was very admirable, all class from the champ. He said, I have absolutely no excuses of my performance. I was beaten by the better fighter on the night. I embrace this loss with open arms because believe me, as much as I hate losing, it is much part of life as part of our game. I believe it's necessary in my pursuit for greatness. Without the bitter, the sweet wouldn't be as sweet. He also thanked his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, at the end there. And look, I think this is a great way for Dricus to react to the loss. It was a decision loss. He didn't get dominated by Khamzat. And he's basically saying...
He did get dominated.
No, as in like it wasn't a KO, TKO submission. He didn't get finished. You're right, he did get dominated. I take that back. But what I'm trying to say is, this is the best case scenario for Dricus. If he can go and say, I need 6 months, like his coach is saying, to work on this problem. I'm motivated now to negate Khamzat's wrestling. That's the best case scenario for his headspace. But what is Dricus's path to the title right now?
Well, from the performance that he did against Khamzat, he does not deserve an immediate rematch. He only had 2 title defenses, one against Sean Strickland, which wasn't that impressive. Adesanya getting the finish was great, but just on his resume, he doesn't deserve an immediate rematch. To get an immediate rematch, you have to be Volkanovski, you have to be Islam, people that have had multiple title defenses and have been very dominant.
Yeah.
So he doesn't deserve an immediate rematch, but if he does win one match against a contender, a top contender, I thought it would be RDR. But if he does win against an RDL, Imavov, anyone in that top 5, he immediately gets a title shot after that.
Yeah. You know what? A better question right now, honestly, is who beats Khamzat at middleweight?
Nobody.
Really?
Absolutely
When you
nobody.
look at the division right now, he beats Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya really can only be matched up to a striker. Sean Strickland, I mean, he's a pressure, walk forward puncher.
I don't know how he's good.
And striker, how good's his grappling really? He went out on Twitter and said, I can stop this terrorist, right?
He got taken down by Dricus, so not a great start.
Okay, can Rob Whittaker do it? We've seen it.
Nah.
No. Okay. Hernandez, Fluffy?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and maybe the number 1 contender if he wins, Imavov or Kyle Barilio. Can these guys beat Khamzat?
Personally, I think
I don't think
Ilia has the best chance.
because he's trained with him.
Because he's trained with him, he's got maybe a different style than to the other people. Imavov, there's a video that's gone around. He's been taken down by Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
And now Sean Strickland isn't the most proficient wrestler. But if you're getting taken down by Sean Strickland, how do you think Khamzat's going to go? Yes. Very salam alaikum. That's how he's going to go. So I feel like it's going to be the same thing. If you don't have elite takedown defense like a Kamaru Usman or Gilbert Burns, you're going to struggle against Khamzat. He's just going to maul you and dominate you. He's just that good of a wrestler.
But to your point, I think, Dricus needs one win, a good performance against a René de Ridder or someone of that like in the top 5 to be, okay, I'm ready to go back for the title again. And that would put him back in contention.
Exactly.
Right? But
he's a big name. He's got a lot to offer still.
I'm saying with the way that the fight did, you got the likes of Henry Cejudo. You've got what's his name? Kamaru Usman saying, I don't know if even 6 or 12 months could close that wrestling gap for Dricus du Plessis.
I agree.
That's how good Khamzat Chimaev is. And I'm saying it right now, I don't think anyone at middleweight beats Khamzat. The only way Khamzat loses his O in the UFC is if he goes up or if he goes down and faces the likes of an Islam, a Jack Della Maddalena, or an Ankalaev or something like that.
And that's where I feel like there's already been talks of Khamzat going up or down.
He says he wants to do it.
He hasn't even had a title defense yet, and people are saying, look, do you want to go up? Do you want to go down? Do you want to face Islam? Do you want to face Ankalaev or Pereira? He said, listen, I just want money. I'll take whoever.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Khamzat is very special, and he might not even defend his title. The same way Ilia, he defended it once, went straight up. Khamzat might do the same thing. He might defend it once against an Imavov, against an RDR, and say, look, there's no one really here that can contest me. I'm going for the money fight.
Yeah, similar to Ilia. I think we see a Khamzat on the same trajectory as Khabib, where he just retires without losing.
I feel like
he retires early without losing. He gets it. Like he said it himself, he's got a blueprint. I want to make my money. I don't even care about the belt. You saw at the end of the fight, he walked away from Dana. Dana didn't even get to put on the belt. He's given his belt to his teammates. He doesn't care about accolades. He cares about money, and I don't even think he cares about his undefeated record. But I'm saying we could see the likes of like a Khabib level. He's outclasses everyone in his division. Has 1 or 2 big fights and calls it a day, and he retires undefeated.
And look, I want to.
You couldn't see that happening?
I could see it happening, but when you saw him get off the plane in Chechnya and the Chechnyan leader was walking with him, I could see maybe a smile on his face. I feel like he was enjoying. And then I think even when he went to Dubai, all these bloody princes were giving him. Apparently, they're giving him like $2-3 million just for winning. So I feel like the champion does bring a lot of extra success to him that I think he enjoys. But shout out to Dricus. Not a sore loser. Very good bloke. You meet him in person, great guy.
Legend,
and
great
you can
team.
see, gracious in defeat. In defeat. I do see him having a path back, though. And I feel like, I can't remember who was it that said he's got to drop down in weight. I think maybe it was Rampage Jackson. I think he said, look, I feel like
Dricus got to drop.
Yeah, I feel like Dricus got to go down to welterweight. I was like, listen, mate, worry about your son.
Yeah, worry about Raja right now.
Yeah, so I feel like he's commenting.
How hasn't he been arrested? Yeah, I don't know. But okay, let's move on to Khabib. Now, anytime Khabib Nurmagomedov talks, the world stops and listens. It does millions of views, whether he's on a podcast, whether he's doing a stage show, people listen. Now, Khabib has come out and said he doesn't think Ilia Topuria has a chance against Arman Tsarukyan. He says Arman is the best prospect at lightweight right now, and he says it's 80% Arman's wins, 20% Ilia Topuria wins.
Khabib with the hate on Ilia. I don't know why he's doing this, because before Ilia fought Charles, he gave Ilia a lot of praise. He said he's one of the best fighters. I feel like he needs one fight against a Charles Oliveira, which he thought he would win, and then he could go against someone like Islam. Now he's done a complete 180, very surprisingly, and says Arman Tsarukyan is the better fighter and is an 80% favourite against Ilia. Really?
I don't know if these Dagestanis are just playing business games and mind games, but I don't think they appreciate when people talk shit. And Ilia has talked his fair share of shit. He's called Islam a pussy. He said I'd submit him, I could finish him whatever way I want. And I don't think they enjoy the disrespect. So I think this is them playing the game. And they're not wrong about Arman Tsarukyan. Arman is a high-level grappler, right? They all know that. And they think his striking is up there as well. But I think it's without question that Ilia is the best striker in the UFC right now.
If I'm going,
not even in the lightweight division, in the UFC.
If I'm going mathematics and I'm putting odds on this, I'm saying it's like 60 to 70% Ilia, strictly because if Ilia does stuff Arman's takedown, and it's a striking fest, no one can beat Ilia in a striking pattern. It's not happening.
And Khabib went on to say, now, if you look at Charles Oliveira's grappling, it doesn't stack up against an Arman or even the likes of Islam or Ilia. But you saw Arman Tsarukyan versus Charles Oliveira. A very close fight. A very competitive fight. Go watch that back. Very close fight. there was 2 instances where it looked like Charles was going to submit Arman Tsarukyan. And now then you can't discount Ilia Topuria's BJJ and wrestling background, which is very good, so much so that Charles didn't even test it. And when he did, Ilia got out. And it ended up on the feet, which is what would happen if Arman and Ilia face each other. And it would end up on the feet.
Why I think this is just Dagestani mind games, is Dagestani tactics, is that even Islam was interviewed and he doubled down and says, yes, I think Arman should be next. He's proved himself. I think Arman goes out there with the right attitude and he can get it done. So now even Islam, who obviously he didn't duck Arman because Arman pulled out with the back injury, but he's someone that gave Islam a good test very early on and would have had a good championship fight. But if he thought, if you go to the lead up of Islam versus Arman, Khabib, Islam, they were saying, look, there's levels to this. I'm going to destroy Arman.
Yeah.
So now they've just all of a sudden, no, there's not that many levels. Arman is that good.
And to Islam's credit, he did say he would like to set up that super fight between Ilia versus Islam. So I think that's the way the UFC are going to go. They know this fight would do numbers. Islam, he's all about making money as well. So he's one of the smartest foreign fighters. He's always encouraging people to speak English. All these foreign fighters speak English because he knows this is a money fight and this is them just building it up.
And I feel like that is, like we said before at the start of the show, like that is the biggest fight to make. Ilia versus Islam. And it's nice to see now. I know previously he said, look, Ilia's too small. I don't want to verse a featherweight.
But now he's proven himself.
If I beat JDM, I'm happy to entertain going back down, see what weight I am at the end of the fight out of camp. But I will go down and I will probably fight him.
Now, Magomed Ankalaev, he's headlining UFC 320 against Alex Pereira. But I'm going to be honest, as a champion, I've heard nothing from him.
I see some trash talk on Twitter, but that's probably Abdelaziz and not Ankalaev. That's why I feel like I haven't really heard from him personally.
I don't know. I think Ankalaev being the champion at light heavyweight right now has really slowed the division down in terms of hype. Because when Alex Pereira was there and he was on this run, people were just buying into
who's next,
Poatan, who's next, who's going to get knocked out. People were really excited for the fight. And not to say that, Pereira has lost the hype, but Ankalaev hasn't been carrying the division like Pereira was. So for him to come out and say something now, it's nice. He's pretty much said that he would like to see Khamzat move up and face him if that fight ever presented itself.
Well, he said, no problem, I'll welcome him to the division. But he does have to get past Alex Pereira first. And I do like Ankalaev. I actually think he's a good fighter.
Yeah, Big Ank's entertaining,
Very
in the ring.
Guy. And I feel like if he does get another win over Pereira, that does elevate his profile, does kind of mute those discussions of, he's not very entertaining or he's not really doing much for the division. But I feel like he's got to get a statement win. If he does another boring decision, failed takedowns, and he just kind of scrapes through a victory against Pereira, it will be boring.
I think with this fight, you're going to see Pereira let his hands go a bit more as well.
Well, he has to. And he even said, he goes, look, I don't want any excuses from him. I don't want any I'm not coming in 100%. I want your best version. I want to beat your best version. So that way, there's no excuses and there's just a line through it. But I do like that Ankalaev is welcoming a fight against Khamzat, because if you ask another Dagestani fighter, Islam, he said, look, I don't want to cause any trouble between our people, Dagestan versus Chechnya. They've had a lot of history. Ankalaev says, I don't give a shit about that. I'll fight him. I'll fight him, no problem. So it is good to see.
It's the game.
That's the game. Ankalaev is in the game and he doesn't care about all this petty stuff. So it is good to see. And I feel like Ankalaev versus Khamzat Chimaev, that's probably the biggest test for Khamzat, because he's a much bigger body, very well versed in wrestling, whereas Islam is a lot smaller. I feel like Khamzat would dominate him.
Yeah, well, we can start this discussion off by saying Khamzat's expressed interest into going to welterweight or even going to light heavyweight. So Ankalaev was asked, would you fight Khamzat Chimaev? He said, yeah, I would. And we don't hear from Big Ank very often, but he says, yes, I would. And what's encouraging about this is, like you said, whether it's Islam and Kamaru Usman, they have in the past, these Muslim fighters have said, I don't want to fight my Islamic brother. I don't want to fight Bilal Muhammad. I don't want to, I like Shavkat Rakhmonov. I don't want to fight Big Ank. I don't want to cause any dramas, which is great. And it's nice to see a sense of loyalty between the guys, but it's also the fight game. Khamzat doesn't care. He said he's willing to go up. Big Ank said, you know what, I would fight him as well. I would welcome him up here. That would be a great fight. And honestly, I think that would be a true test for Khamzat.
There was one thing I forgot to bring up. Khabib in his interview, talking about the welterweight division, talking about maybe the next contenders after Islam wins. He said, yeah, Bilal's good, Shavkat's good, Sean Brady sucks. That's essentially what he said. He said Sean Brady just doesn't present anything, like Islam will just beat him so easily. And I was like,
and he gave his props to Jack Della. He goes, there's no Madalena who can strike and wrestle.
So I was like, man, Sean Brady, like, what did he do to cop this massive blow from bloody Khabib?
And I feel for Sean Brady because he's been putting his name out and he wants to get in there and fight to show that he can be a number one contender. He's asking Ian Gary to take a fight.
Well, Beneil didn't finish Leon Edwards. Sean Brady did finish Leon Edwards. So, like, I feel like if you're looking at that,
That's very
Sean
true.
Sean Brady did get knocked out though by Beneil. So, like, he does have that against him at all times.
Yeah, that's
But I
very
just
true.
feel like Sean Brady, I would be coming out. If I'd use this as a way to, like, hey, Khabib, I'd fight you, you bum.
Would you say that Beneil is in a similar spot to Dricus right now?
No. I feel like it's worse because if Islam wins,
What, Jack Della wasn't as dominating?
no, definitely not.
Okay.
Beneil claims that he won. Dricus
Yeah.
isn't claiming that he won.
No,
like-
not at all.
So I feel like Beneil, even though he didn't win, has maybe won a round, 2 rounds. But the thing with Beneil is he can go beat a top contender. But if Islam's champion, is Beneil going to fight Islam? Because Islam didn't fight you, I feel like you got to return the favour.
I think with the clock ticking down in his career and his age, I think he takes the fight.
Jeez,
You know
against
what
his
I mean?
Muslim brother.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it happening.
Well, this was breaking news today. Errol Hawani reported it that Misfits Boxing are in advanced discussions with online influencer, if you want to call him that, Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate could be fighting on Misfits. Now, for a guy that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? He says, I get everything I want. I wonder what would convince him to get into the influencer boxing scene. He must see some influencer online and go, fuck, I'd love to bash him. Let's set it up. And Misfits, they're putting on big fights like bringing back Tony Ferguson. They've got the likes of Tommy Fury, KSI. They're big in the influencer boxing scene. But Andrew Tate, as a pay-per-view star, would do numbers. Let's not lie.
I feel like he'd have to do some sort of pay-per-view sharing because he'd be driving a lot of the sales, a lot of the
100%.
sign-ups. And I feel like he's got that kickboxing background. I think he's like a former kickboxing champion.
Muay Thai.
So I feel like it was about time that he did because I think there were rumors at one point he was going to fight Logan or Jake Paul.
Who does he fight, though?
He could fight KSI. Why wouldn't he fight KSI?
Because KSI probably get knocked out.
I feel like KSI is like an easy fight, a big name, someone that's...
You know, what's funny is like what happened to not wanting to ever platform someone like Andrew Tate? You got these guys like the...
well, they haven't platformed him
the
yet.
true Geordies that were all talking shit about him before. I think at the end of the day, money talks. And if you've got a big enough platform, look at, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, it does numbers. Andrew Tate has the ability, if you put him up against a KSI, that would do Netflix big, huge numbers.
Well, it'll be on DAZN.
Yeah,
because
we're definitely
is DAZN.
Misfits and DAZN.
And I don't know, what will he get paid per fight? Because I feel like to get him out of retirement,
He's not stepping in the ring for more than 10 million.
less than 10 million.
Yeah, he's not stepping in the ring for less than 10 million.
I feel like you got to go even more than that because if Canelo Alvarez is earning 80 mil and he's a massive draw,
You say he should be Canelo money?
like I'm saying, Andrew Tate could probably sell out Wembley.
Everyone-
like if Andrew Tate versus KSI could draw enough crowd,
It's so true.
that it could like sell out a stadium.
And that's the
he's
era-
looking at 30 to 50 million.
And how would you feel as a boxer, honestly? Where that's your profession, that's your life, and you can't draw a stadium, but someone like Andrew Tate can. And that's what's crazy. That's the era of boxing that we're in right now. And would I pay to see it? 100% I would. Would I want to go and cover it? Yes, I would. If it's Andrew Tate versus KSI, sign me up. I'd love to see KSI get knocked out. I'd love to see Andrew Tate in the ring. It would be one of the most talked about things on the internet. And then for these other boxers, whether they're up-and-coming boxers, other influencer boxers, if you say you want to be on an Andrew Tate card, that's great. You're going to get great exposure. You're going to get great eyes. So I think it's a win-win for everyone.
How old is Tate?
He's got to be pushing 40.
40? I think
He's got to be pushing 40. He's late 30s.
Mid to
Say
late
he's 38.
30s. So like he's not going to establish a career out
Yeah.
of this. He's not going to be your Jake Paul who's started a boxing career and actually got into it and become a serious boxer. But I do see the same effect of like you want to see Jake Paul fight. There it is, Andrew Tate officially.
He's 38 years old, right? So, I mean, like you said, he's not going to start a career from this, but will he draw numbers and do pay-per-views? 100%.
I'm thinking of potential opponents though, like KSI, Tommy
KSI,
Fury.
yeah, Tommy Fury, Jake Paul.
I feel like would they do it on Misfits though? Like, no, that would be Netflix.
It'll be Misfits in collaboration with MVP.
Jake Paul would do it by
Jake
himself.
Paul fought on DAZN, and if that's what it comes with Misfits, his potential opponents would be Jake Paul, which would be a mega fight. KSI,
Conor McGregor.
Tommy Fury, nah, not Conor. Apparently, it's going to be a heavyweight fight.
Okay, so that's Jake Paul.
So
then.
that really rules. It's basically saying it's a Jake Paul fight. Andrew Tate versus Jake Paul. Would you
Jake
pay
Paul
to see
versus
it?
Andrew Tate. Who would you even take in that fight? I feel like I got to go with the boxer. I'm going with Jake Paul.
I'm going with Andrew
I
Tate.
know I just called him a boxer, but he is a boxer now.
I'm going with Andrew
He's
Tate.
a kickboxer though.
Andrew Tate is not stepping in the ring unless he's winning, right? Because That would very much damage his online persona if he loses to Jake Paul.
And
You've
look-
talked all this shit before, and I think they've given Jake Paul their respect, right?
That's
him and
why
his
I
brother.
think it would go KSI because it's an easier fight.
Hey, but imagine the promotion. Andrew and Tristan Tate
Jake and Logan Paul.
up against Jake and Logan Paul talking shit at a press conference. I don't know. I'm saying this does numbers. This does not McGregor Mayweather numbers, but it does numbers.
I would love to see it, and I just would be there for the entertainment of it because they would
Yeah.
have a go at each other. That would be so entertaining, and I just feel like Andrew Tate, as much as people hate him, it's almost like a thing they tune in to watch him. They just love to hate him.
Hey, you
That's
got to
what
have
it is.
haters at one point. That means more people are watching. I think you're right. Now, last one I want to get into, last topic of the day, WWE. I don't know if it has started to diminish since they put out that WWE Unreal, since last year's WrestleMania. The storylines just aren't hitting for me. But what is the biggest storyline right now is it's John Cena's retirement. He has 10 dates left on his contract. Right now, he's wasting one of those dates on Logan Paul. What would you do? How would you book John Cena's last 10 dates?
Well, the fact that he has 10 dates is very, very sad. But it is what it is. One of them's going to be against Logan Paul.
Yeah, one of the goats
So
is
let's not
retiring.
even say 10 dates. Let's go 9 dates.
Okay.
Because Clash of Paris is this weekend and he's facing Logan Paul. So that's already a line
So
through
you're
one of them.
saying who are the 9 opponents you would want to see him face before he retires?
No, I feel like if you really plan it out, I think there's only like 3 pay-per-views left for him to be on. It's Crown Jewel in Perth, Survivor Series,
Right.
and then his Saturday night main event.
So,
And there's also
okay.
allegedly this WrestlePalooza one. So say there's 4.
Not allegedly, it's confirmed.
So there's 4. There's 4 more fights that John Cena will have.
Okay, so one of them is the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. One of them
them's
is
confirmed.
guaranteed to be Brock Lesnar.
And I feel like the WWE, with the way they do storylines now, that's probably going to go across 2 pay-per-views. So John Cena versus Brock Lesnar is probably going to be at WrestlePalooza, and it's probably going to be at Survivor Series.
Okay.
Now, Crown Jewel in Perth, I feel like they're going to do AJ Styles. They haven't had that rivalry yet. Obviously, they had a great rivalry
bad
back
idea.
in like 2018.
AJ, last time he came to Australia, he just came just to interfere in the chamber. He wasn't even in the match. So it would be nice to see him in Australia. They had a great rivalry. They can run that back
And
one more
I'm
time.
just going to say, being realistic, it's very hard to convince fighters of anyone to come to Perth, Australia. That's a very long trip for the US, and I feel like AJ Styles, not that he's not important, but he's just more likely to say, yes, this is where you're going to fight John
We've
Cena.
already seen Punk versus Cena, so that's already
And then
that's
that
cancelled out.
just leaves the last match, the last Saturday night main event, which is going to probably be in Boston. Who's going to be John Cena's retirement fight? They can go one of 2 ways. They can go against a legend, or they can go against a young up-and-comer that he's going to put over, and that'll be Bron Breakker.
Everyone has said Bron Breakker. I don't know if he's faced Gunther yet, but everyone likes to pass the torch to Gunther. Everyone wants to set this dream match up between Brock Lesnar and Gunther. I don't know. I think they're going to do a pass in the torch. That's in John Cena's nature. He wants to pass the torch to the next generation. I don't see it being some old legend like The Rock, like a CM Punk caliber type opponent, someone that he's already feuded with kind of before.
They're done with Cody Rhodes.
I think it's Bron Breakker.
I feel like it's just the only fighter that makes sense. They've already touted him
You
as
keep
the
calling him
future
a
of the
fighter.
business.
He's a WWE superstar.
Wrestler.
Yeah.
Wrestler. I'll call him wrestler. But I feel like Bron Breakker's the only guy in the industry right now that does deserve, not even deserve, but does fit the build of, okay, he's the young up-and-comer that we're going to put over on John Cena's way out. But there's no one else really that kind of he needs to face anymore, because if Brock Lesnar's coming back, they're probably going to split win and loss across pay-per-views. Unless they can bring Edge, the Rated R superstar,
Okay.
back, there's no one else really.
What
that-
if I give you a list of names? You tell me if they deserve to be John Cena's last opponent.
Okay.
All right, ready? Main event, Jey Uso.
Definitely not.
Okay. Roman Reigns.
Yes, I would say that's very deserving.
Very worthy. The tribal chief is worthy.
And I feel like because Roman Reigns has the most successful record against John Cena could even win that match.
Okay. Gunther.
I don't want that.
You don't want to see it?
I don't want that. I'm done with Gunther.
Bron Breakker.
Yes, that's the passing of the torch to the younger wrestler. That's happening.
Okay. Now, Dolph Ziggler floated out this idea, a gauntlet match between a lot of his past and great opponents.
That's actually a very good idea.
And they just come out one at a time.
It's an Iron Man match.
And one of them being...
Slobberknocker.
Well, I just want to ask you, that's a potential, but could you see The Rock coming back and being his last opponent?
The reason I would see The Rock coming back is because they haven't really settled that storyline. He came out of Elimination Chamber and
true.
hasn't been seen since. So maybe he can call him.
He was supposed to join his team.
He didn't follow through with the plan, and he can kind of have a go at him and be that last match. But that's once in a lifetime, 3 times. That's the only problem with that match.
That's true. I can't really think of many other people.
Seth Rollins, I wouldn't really be. I don't want to.
Seth Rollins, yeah, the visionary. What about LA Knight?
Again, too old. He's too old.
That's not really passing the torch.
It's not really. Even people going, "Oh, he's passing the torch to Cody Rhodes." Cody Rhodes is 43 years old.
Yeah.
You're passing it to your contemporary. Like, you're not passing it to anyone in the next generation.
Okay, and maybe last one, Cody Rhodes.
No, they've already passed the torch.
Storyline's done.
Cody Rhodes has been passed the torch 5 to 6 times. Unless he goes full Homelander and changes the whole dynamic of the feud, I don't want to see it.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting up until the end of the year to watch John Cena, the GOAT, retire. But that's all we have time for here on Trash Talk. As always, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. Make sure you liked and subscribed on YouTube. And you're following along on our clips at John Bernard K on Instagram and TikTok. That's all we have time for today. Back to you in the studio, Ryan.